Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, How to Use Lightspeed Trader for Trading Momentum. This is going to be presented by Ross Cameron of Warrior Trading. We've had Ross do many webinars for us previously, and it's always been a great turnout. Everyone really takes away some great and valuable information from his presentation, so we're very happy to have Ross here. Everyone, please note this will be recorded and posted to our YouTube channel and our website, so you can view this again in the future within a couple days. If you have some questions, feel free to type them in. Otherwise, you can just email in at a later date, or we'll try to get to them by the end of the presentation. We'll get started right away here for you guys, just to do our quick disclosure here. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Nothing presented today should be construed as investment advice or a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any security or contract. Since we don't know everyone's investment objectives or risk tolerance, we are not endorsing any specific trading strategies. Security, derivative, and futures trading involves a substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Each investor must consider whether this is a suitable investment, since you may lose all or more of your initial investment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Lightspeed is a division of Lion Brokerage LLC. Lion Brokerage LLC is not affiliated with these third-party market commentators, educators, or service providers. Data, information, and material, the content, are provided for informational, educational purposes only. This content neither is nor should be construed as an offer, solicitation, or recommendation to buy or sell any securities or contracts. Any investment decisions made by the users through the use of such content is solely based on the user's independent analysis, taking into consideration your financial circumstances, investment objectives, and risk tolerance. We do not endorse, offer, nor recommend any of the services or commentary provided by any of the market commentators, educators, service providers. Any information used, trading strategy is solely based on your independent analysis. Great, thank you. Guys, just note, if anyone's interested in trying a demo of the Lightspeed Trader software, looking to open an account with Lightspeed, please reach out to me. My name is Rob Lipson. I'm one of the VPs of Business Development and Sales here at Lightspeed. My email here, rlipson@lightspeed.com. You can request a demo from the website as well, but if you have questions, you're looking to set up a walkthrough or training session, we're happy to do that as well. We're happy to have Ross present here, as I said. Most of you know him already, many YouTube followers and views. Runs Warrior Trading educational website and programs, and just has great insight on the Lightspeed Trader software and the markets in general. So the man who needs not a big introduction, I will just pass the mic right over to him, and we'll get started, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Rob. Okay, so I'm going to, let's see, I think Rob's going to make me the presenter, and then I'll put up my screen share. So I hope you guys are all doing well. Let's see. All right, so show my screen. Let's see. Now let's see. That's one. There we go. That's monitor 2. All right, so let me know if you guys are able to see my screen. Hopefully you are. I'm just going to have to log out of this real quick. I'm just going to save my changes here. So yeah, I've got my e-signal charts up at the top, and right here on this main monitor, you can see my Lightspeed platform. So what I thought I would do for you guys is a little bit of Q&A, kind of answer questions that you may have about how I use the Lightspeed software, but also kind of, before we get into Q&A, walk you through a little bit of my layout, how I have this set up, and why I have it set up the way it is. So what I'm going to do real quick, I would just want to move this up to my top monitor. It's a little easier for me to work that way. So you should see my e-signal layout again. I'm just going to save my Lightspeed layout. Let's see. And log out and log back in. All right, let's see. And thank you guys, many of you who are current students who are logging into this workshop and wanting to learn a little bit more about how I use Lightspeed. All right, so I'm going to load my saved layout here, and there we go. Okay. All right, so let's see. So this is my This is the way I have my layout every day. So for those of you guys who don't know me very well, I am a momentum trader. So the strategy that I focus on is trying to find stocks that are moving up quickly and jumping on that momentum. So as an example of a stock that fit within that criteria pretty well this morning, one of the stocks I traded is SIF. Now, you'll see the way my platform is laid out here. This is my open P&L, which is 0. So as a day trader, I close all my positions at the end of the day. Well, usually I'm done trading by like 10:30, 11, but I'm definitely done by the end of the day. So I actually hide my P&L, but let me show you this chart on SIF first, just to sort of kind of show you the type of thing that I look for. Now, you can use the Lightspeed charts, or you can use other charts. Now, the Lightspeed charts that I have right here, I could bring this up, make it a little bit bigger. So I'll pull up SIF and drop this down here. So this is our 1-minute chart on SIF from this morning. So as you can see, this stock made a pretty impressive move right out of the gates. The market opened and it squeezed up from 360 up to 440, then pulled back. And on this first 1-minute candle to make a new high, it popped up to a high of about 545, 550. That's an impressive move. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do here is actually dial into the 10-second chart. I'm going to do this to kind of show you a very fast time frame. When I'm trading momentum stocks, I sometimes like to look at these quick time frames to get a sense really in the moment of the momentum. It's a little bit easier sometimes than using 1-minute charts. So this is basically a zoom in of this. So this pullback right here on the 10-second chart is what you can see that was happening right here. So on a stock like this, my first entry was at $4. And you can see that I actually pressed the buy button 3 times, all in the span of 1 second. So you might wonder why I buy 3,000 shares like that instead of just typing in 3,000 shares like this and just clicking it once. One of the things that I really like to do is enter my starter size in the order entry window. So to kind of get us all on the same page here, this is, of course, the Lightspeed platform. These are my level 2 windows. So I could go up here to market to new and then to click level 2 and pop a new one out right here if I wanted to. These are order entry windows. Again, you can find these right off of this new, and then you scroll down to order entry windows. So this one is linked to the level 2 window above it. And this one is linked to this. This one down here is linked to this, and this one is to this. So the reason I do this is because when I'm looking at taking a trade, this morning, for instance, on SIF, I like to enter in the order entry window approximately where I'm thinking about getting in. Now, I certainly can get in just using hotkeys, but this is sort of a way for me to take a note. And remember that the place that I'm interested in is $4. Now, when I take a starter, I'll click this once. I'll click the buy button once and I'm in with 1,000 shares. That's a starter position. Sometimes, as soon as I get in, I'll realize that there's a hidden seller on the ask. And even though we're seeing a lot of buy orders going through, the stock's not moving up. And so in cases like that, I may be less inclined to press the buy button multiple times. Other times we'll see a seller on the ask, in this case, a 50,000 share seller, and we might see it go 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right before it snaps up. And so as I see that buyer getting accumulated, I'll keep pressing the buy button. So I'll have my starter position, and then I'll press it a couple more times based on what I'm seeing on the tape. So in this case, I wanted to go with smaller share size. My typical starter would be 2,000 shares. I went down to 1,000 because I wasn't totally confident, and I knew I was getting in it a little bit on the high side. In fact, my entry was right here and had already popped up from 360. So with an entry at 360, I clicked the buy button 3 times like that. And as you can see, 11 seconds later, I sold for a $600 profit. $600 in 11 seconds, that's not too bad. So on this particular stock, it popped right up to about 420, and then I added at 425. In this case, as you can see, I only got a partial fill. I filled only 210 shares of a 2,000 share order and 0 shares of the second order. I then sold it break even. It did pop up to a high of the $0.50 for 450 and then pulled back off that level. So my process for getting in oftentimes is just to manually enter the order right here. Usually as I'm looking at a stock, as I'm watching it pre-market, I have time to think about the level that I'm interested. And so this stock actually had a little bit of pre-market price action, kind of lighter volume pre-market action with I think a pre-market high of about 410 or something like that right here. So I was already interested in it over $4. And then right out of the gates, it pops up, it hits 4, and that gave me my entry. So sometimes traders will be curious about my hotkeys and the way I have this laid out. So I'm going to get into that. But first, let's just talk about why I have the level 2 colored the way I have it. So if you go into your settings right here, you can go into design and you can click on level 2, design, fonts, and colors, and you can actually change these. So let's say, for instance, I want to change the background color here to be neon, and I want or magenta, and I want to change this one to be this color, and I want to change this to be this, and I could change this to be green. All right, that looks totally different, right? And that's all of a sudden what my level 2 would look like. Now that to me is very strange because I've been looking at this green type of layout for a very long time. But you can go in and customize this the way you like. Now, the reason I did it the way I did it is when you have your mouse on a level 2 window like this, there's this yellow sort of border around, and that tells you that anytime you press a hotkey, it will be executing against this stock. So, you know, you have to be careful about that because if I type in ZVZZT here, this is the NASDAQ test stock, and I press Shift 1, for instance, this would buy me and I would jump into this stock. But if my cursor was over here on this window, I wouldn't be able to buy ZVZZT with a hotkey. All right, so this is a very easy way to differentiate, creating a different color. In addition to the yellow, it helps it stand out. And so what I decided to do was basically make the ones that are inactive light colors and the ones that are active a little bit brighter. All right, so that makes it really obvious which ones are which. And I'm just going to kind of roughly put these back to around where they were. It won't be perfect, but that's okay. So I'm going to go back like that, and then I think this one was like a shade of blue. All right, so something like that. All right, now I also like to make the fonts, and this is an awesome thing with Lightspeed. You can customize all this stuff. You can change your fonts, you can change the layout right here. You can make this exactly how you want. So, you know, if you're someone who, for whatever reason, wants to read quotes like this, you certainly could. I've never met someone that would want to, but if that appealed to you and you're going for that kind of old-fashioned look, you can certainly do it. And the nice thing is just the fact that you can customize this to whatever is suitable for you. I think just easiest to read, Arial and bold, you know, that's what I want. I want this to stand out. I want to be able to see it. So, so that's how I have this laid out right here. And so now you can see whichever one is in focus is very obvious, right? Because it stands out with the color. So there's no mistakenly executing hotkeys on the wrong window. Now, in terms of my position window here, something that I started doing just recently was actually hiding my profit while I'm trading. So when I get into a trade, I can see how much I'm up on it while I'm in the trade. But then once I sell it, then from that point forward, I actually can't see how much I made. And that's been really helpful for me in terms of kind of disconnecting myself from the profits and losses and the emotions that can come with them. On a day where I'm making a lot of money, I can see that number getting bigger and bigger, and I can start getting too aggressive. On a day where I'm losing, as I see that number getting bigger and bigger, I start revenge trading. And those are, I think, emotions that a lot of traders deal with, and I'm no exception to that. And so by hiding this P&L, I can't see how much I've made until the end of the day. And so here's $25,218.25 of profit, which is, as it turns out, a really good day. But I didn't know that while I was trading. I knew it was a good day. I knew I was doing well, but I didn't know how well. Now, if I'd end up having some losses and dropping from up 25 to up only 18 or 17, I wouldn't have had that thought in my mind, I need to get back to up 25. I would have just, at the end of the day, walked away and been like, hey, I'm up 17, 18. That's awesome. It's still a great day. Active orders here is important. If I have, like we'll use the test stock ZVZT. So if I put an order on this to buy, let's just say 100 shares at 9, I want to know that I have an open order there. I don't want to walk away from my computer and forget that I have an open order. So this is only active orders. So I have active orders there. And then down here are the orders that have executed. So those 3 entries right there, an order that didn't fill here, an order that didn't fill here, a sell order, a sell order. And I think you can actually go in here and change the display of this quite a bit if you wanted to. So I could change this to red. Sell orders are going to be red, which is actually kind of a nice way to do it. Honestly, I probably should have done that a long time ago. It looks kind of nice. A short position, sometimes people like to see when they go short, so you can have that stand out a little bit as well. So anyways, this is all customizable. And so I've laid this out in a way that for me is very intuitive, that's easy to see what's important, and that is just very, very functional. It's all about function, right? That's ultimately what I love about Lightspeed, is that this software is just simply designed to work fantastically well. It's quick, it's accurate, and I've been incredibly happy with it. So let me show you a couple of live trades here. This will be kind of fun probably for you guys. So let's see, and I don't remember, I'm just gonna grab, I don't have any particular ones that I'm super dialed in on, but I'll just grab one for instance. So this is a day where I was trading this stock. Let's see. So what do we have here on MDGS? Oh, this is a fine day, but I want to grab one where I'm showing the time and sales. That was, let's see, oops, on CVR. Oh, we could try this one. Let's see what we've got here. All right, so, and those of you guys who don't already follow me over on YouTube, I encourage you to check us out over there. So on this day, it's 9:30. So you can see the time and sales is ripping here. Obviously, the stock is moving pretty quickly. We've got 14 million shares of volume. And I'm going to be looking for a trade. Let's see. I'm going to look for my first really good trade. Neon. Let's see if we can find a better one. We've got one, I think, here on CREX. Let me move forward. SMDX. All right, so this is SMDX. We can watch this one for a second. So this trade on SMDX, it's the stock, as you can see, squeezing up from 14.25 up to 17. So this is a technical pattern that we're seeing right now. This is actually preparing the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. And so on this trade, watch here, the spot that I'm watching on this is a technical level right over 17. The high of this candle was right around 17.10 or so. And actually, I'll get my drawing tool so I can draw. Let's see. All right, so so this is what we're looking at right here. All right, now you can line up your eSignal or your Lightspeed charts if you'd like to. I use eSignal. I've been using eSignal actually sort of a legacy software. I've been using it for a long time before I actually started using Lightspeed. And the broker that I had before Lightspeed had terrible charts. Lightspeed's charts aren't bad, but I got used to using eSignal, and so I just continued using it. So I'm going to take a trade here on SMDX. I've got my order typed in here for 1750. Order is going to route through NASDAQ. I like using NASDAQ, not that I don't like ARCA or I don't like EDGX, but I like NASDAQ because I've been using it for a while and the order execution is really quick. So watch when I press the buy button how quickly I'm going to click and then my shares are going to fill. So I just clicked right there. I'm in at 17. All right, so probably it says 18, so probably the fill was like down to a decimal point, like 17.8 or something like that, but that's fine. So I'm in this at 17. My target, I'm looking for a break through the high, 17.50. All right, so as you can see here on this one, kind of hesitating for a second. We've got 17.18, 17.21, 17.25, 17.30, 17.50. All right, a nice pop there. Now, in this case, I actually decided to add through the high. So what I have found is that when the market is really hot, I actually like to add as stocks are squeezing higher. So we're going to watch this come up here. Once it breaks through 17.50, I add, and immediately I put out an order to sell half. I'm going to show you the hotkey I use for that type of trade. So I've got an order out there to sell half. Now, of course, my cost basis went up to 17.37. So I'm looking for this to break over the high. Got 17.63 on the ask, 17.65, 68, 74. Now in this case, I add another 1,000 shares. I'm stepping up to the plate. Looking for the breakthrough 18. So right there, I sold 625 shares. I sold a quarter of my position. There, I sold another half. I sold another half. It's not quite breaking over 18. I put an order at 1805 or 1808 with 1,000 shares to add if it does break over 18. Stock has 1.3 million shares of volume. It's moving up. It's got news, as you can see here. And there I sold the rest of it. It looks like at the bid at 82. As it started to dip down, I bailed out. I'll show you that hotkey as well. So this ends up being a kind of dramatic stock. It makes some pretty wild moves. So let's see my next trade on it. So let's watch this. So we're coming back up here. And I end up getting back in. So I go long again for the break over 18. There's 18, looking for it to break that level. Oftentimes we find whole dollars and half dollars create psychological levels of resistance. So stocks sometimes struggle at them a little bit. And then when they can break very aggressively, and you can have really quick moves. So watch here from 18. We've got 17.85 on the ask. So when I trade, this is why Lightspeed is so important. This is where my eye is. My eye is right here. Now, I would say this is the road ahead of me. If we're going to use a driving in a car kind of analogy, this is the road ahead of me. I got my eyes looking through the windshield, looking at what's coming at me. All right. Now, this is my rear view mirror. This is showing me what just happened. It's good to check in your rear view mirror. It's good to see the patterns and stuff like that. But this is historical. This is what just happened. So I'm primarily looking right here to anticipate what's going to happen and what is happening right now. These orders on the level 2. So I'm watching the ask price mostly. And on this one, I'm looking for it to break through 18. I add there. And just like that, boom, I'm up on 2,000 shares, almost 600 bucks. I put an order to sell half at 18.30. That order gets picked up. Nope, it didn't get picked up. So now I'm still holding right now. This ends up being, as you can see, a little bit of a false breakout. I never like false breakout trades. When you have a stock that breaks a level and can't hold above it, it's usually a problem. So this broke that psychological level and it ends up dropping down. So we're going to keep watching it for the next trade. The 5-minute chart, still nice, first candle. Everything looks good there. All right, so we're just kind of hanging out here. Let me move forward to my next trade on this. So that was a trade where I took a small loss on it, as you can see here from my entry at 97 and 18, but a small loss really, 86. So, you know, 100 bucks, 200 bucks, it's not too bad as far as I'm concerned. So we've got some trades on CREX, but I've got another trade on SMDX here. So it's curling back up. We've got a flat top. The flat top is at 1831. My order is at 1841. 10 cents above the high. All I need to do is click the buy button. I could use my hotkey to get in, but I like getting in just by clicking the buy button if I can. I'm in, looking for that break through 1850. Now this might be another false breakout. Got to be careful. It's got to break 1825, 1830. But this is the type of stock that if it breaks that level, I expect it'll move quickly. And just like that, it's 45. And I saw 60 there for a second. Thought I saw 60. So we've got 31 on the ask. Again, another kind of false breakout. Not the cleanest one. So it looks like I sell that, basically break even. CREX, I'm not sure if this one is a really, let's see, what's going on CREX. So CREX, this looks like I'm buying to anticipate the first candle to make a new high right here on a 1 minute pullback. So I have my order entered at $1.70 for 2,000 shares. And actually in that case, it looks like I got a pretty nice fill. It dipped down just for a second. And I bought that little dip at 59. Got 66, 67. I add and add, looking for the break over 70. So we've got 58 by 59. This, as you can see, is a 1 minute pattern. First 1 minute candle to make a new high is going to be over $1.69, $1.70. So I added there for the break and then take profit into the break. So this doesn't end up being, necessarily a home run trade. I do think I have another trade on SMDX that was a nice dip, which I'm kind of looking for here. Let's see, SMDX. Another trade on CREX. So this trade on CREX was actually a dip setup. Yeah, so this was more on SMDX and CREX. CREX, a couple little trades, a couple quick trades. So anyways, this kind of gives you a sense of how I trade these breakouts, at least a little bit. So let's go back in here and kind of look at these hotkeys. So let's see. Let me just look at that question that you asked. On level 2, so you're right, I don't have NASDAQ total view. I'm using a little bit of a more limited level 2, and I actually really like it. If I have full NASDAQ total view, my quotes are just so deep, and I don't really feel like I need to see. I don't feel like I need to see that many. So I have it like this, and I've been really happy with that. So I'm going to go into my hotkeys here, and we're going to go to the first one, which is the hotkey that I use to jump into these types of fast-moving stocks. Now, if I'm not able to manually type in my order because the stock is moving super fast, I can press Shift 1. And this is a buy order. It's to buy 1,000 shares. It's actually not on NASDAQ. I'm using the Lightspeed Smart Route. And this is a limit order. It's a buy order, limit order. And it's 5 cents through or above the ask. So that means if I want to buy this right here, let's see, I'm not sure if it'll actually let me do the trade after hours. And actually, this might not be mapped to a hotkey. I might have to go double check this. But anyways, this right here, I'll just change this to NSDQ for a second. And I'm going to go map hotkey. Let's see, so Shift 1. Yep, I'm just going to make sure that that's right. So let's see. There we go. So yeah, it's saying risk check failed. It's because it's so high up. That's why it's doing that. So you can't place an order at this crazy price of almost 200,000. But in any case, that's because it's after hours. So we'll go back in here, buy right here. So this is a buy order, 5 cents above the current ask. Now, you could do an offset 10 cents, you could do an offset 2 cents, 20 cents, whatever you want. Depends on the stocks you're trading. If you're trading stocks like Tesla, this is a very fast moving stock, as you probably already know. I'm gonna put it over here, Tesla. So with this one, if you didn't use any offset, you might not get filled when you use that hotkey. So I like to use an offset to ensure that I'll get my order filled. So I have the buy order with a 10 cent or 5 cent offset. Quantity, I type in for 1,000 shares. All right. So once you do that, you can go to map the hotkey. And then I choose which key I want to execute. So I want the 1 button to execute it. And there are 2 options, Shift 1 or Control 1. So I'm going to say Shift +1, and I'm going to click Map and map that key to that key. All right, map that custom command to that key. So that's the order that I use when I'm trying to add on something really quickly and I didn't have time to manually type in the share size. So in the case where all of a sudden something pops up, whether it's Tesla or whatever it is, and I'm like, I want to get in, but I don't have time to come down here and type. Of course, you can click, but the time it takes to do all that, all I have to do is click on this and click Shift 1, and just like that, I'm in 1,000 shares. All right, so then I could press it 3 or 4 times if I wanted to take more size. I can also create Shift 2, Shift 3, Shift 4 for 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 shares. I could clone this and then just say this is going to be for 2,000. Oops, the clone. Let's see. I'll just say buy 2,000 shares, NASDAQ. All right, and then just change that to 2,000. This I'm actually going to get rid of because I don't use that. And then this would be the 2 button, Shift 2, map, and just like that, I've got that one mapped. All right, so hotkey to buy 1,000, hotkey to buy 2,000. All right, so those are the hotkeys that I'm using to get in. I would say probably 70% of the time when I'm buying stocks, I have time to manually enter my order right here because I'm buying something based on the watch list, SIF. This was already on my watch list this morning, so very easy to jump in here. So a question there, Eric, how do I make the LULD level noticeable? So, and if we look at this, let's see, we've got a stock over here on YTEN. I don't know if YTEN gave us any halts, but in any case, you can see right here, for instance, LULD on meds is visible. YTEN is down here. The halt level must just be a little further away. There's the halt level at 81. So how do I highlight that? I go to settings. I go to, let's see, I'm trying to remember which one it is. Settings, design, layout, highlights. All right, and then I change it here. And I have it on all stocks. And then it's the symbol market maker, LULD, and I put it in red. I could make it any color I want, but red stands out pretty well for me. Could do yellow. And then, well, you can't see it right now because it doesn't work after hours. But anyways, that's how you do it. You go to highlights and then you can change the color like that. So good question. And Dominic says, why not just use a market order? So a couple things. Number one, with a limit order, I control the most I'm willing to pay. Now, obviously, if I'm using a limit order and I want to buy this and my limit order is at 450, well, that is essentially a market order. I mean, at that point, it really is a market order. But at the same time, what if I accidentally did that just by accident? You know, that'd be a funny accident, but probably not really, but that would be an interesting accident. Well, with a limit order, I press the buy button and the stock might pop up to 458, but it's not going to go, because if you actually had the buying power to do a 200,000 share order and you didn't already have a warning on your account, so you can go in, of course, you can call Rob and put max share size, and you can put warnings right here of like 20,000 shares, or you could put it at 6,000 shares. But if you hadn't done that, and you could actually execute a 200,000 share market order, you could potentially make a big mistake. And so I got into the habit early on of not using market orders, but just using limit orders just to prevent a big accident. Just God forbid something like that happened. And because I trade sometimes with larger share size, if I want to put out an order here to sell, let's say we've got a big seller at $4. And I feel like I've got a good example of a big seller, but I don't recall. Trying to remember. We have one here. Not really there. Usually when I see them, they're around $0.50 and whole dollars. These were some dip trades on YTEN. This was pulling back here off this level. I was buying these pullbacks. Yeah, I don't see a really good spot on that one. That's a good example. But in any case, sometimes I'll want to sell just under the ask. And on a stock like Tesla, I'm going to use this one down here actually. Oops. On a stock like Tesla, or even honestly on a stock like Grub, but definitely on a stock like Tesla, if you put your order on the ask, you may get filled. But sometimes with stocks that have big spreads, it's easier to put your order between the spread and use a hidden order. So if I put an order right here at 95.50 to sell, if it has a hidden order, no one would see it. It's hidden. So if someone then goes to buy at 796, they'll actually buy my shares at 795.50. They get a better price. They're like, hey, that's awesome. I got a better price. And I got out. So it's one of those things in the market where sometimes you don't want to show all your hands to the market. If you put a big order to sell 200,000 shares and it's not hidden, people may see that as a sign of a big seller, and they may actually cut in front of you and start to bail out, and you can see the stock drop just because of your big sell order. So a lot of traders, probably institutional traders with big size, will use hidden orders. And you can just make it a default setting, and it doesn't really make any difference, probably in most cases, but I just do it. Now, the hotkeys for selling on the ask are kind of interesting. So I have this hotkey right here to sell on, it actually says BATS, but I think I changed this to NASDAQ. So this is an order to sell my full position on the ask. Okay, it's a sell order. Market is NASDAQ. It's a limit order, and it's going to be at the ask price, and it's my full position. So if I press this button and it's Control K, then I will sell my full position on the ask, or the order will go there. Down here, I have the same order for selling half on the ask, and I have, except for 50%, and I have the same order for selling a quarter on the ask, again, except for only 25%. So these trades, these hotkeys allow me to scale out of positions. I can sell half, sell another half, sell another half as the stock is going up. Now, on stocks that have really big spreads, so not a stock necessarily like a cheaper stock like this one, but on a stock that had a bigger spread, I would be more inclined to use an offset. And so I can do that with a hotkey. I can sell full position on the ask -1. All right, so what does that look like? It's a NASDAQ sell limit order, but a 1 cent offset. By putting that in as 1, if I put my hotkey out to sell here, it's not going to be 409, it'll be actually 408. And let's go back in there to the custom order. Let's see, so this is, let's do this for sell half. It's also a hidden order. So that allows me to get out sometimes of a position on a stock like I traded Grub yesterday. That was a stock where that hotkey came in really handy. In fact, if you trade stocks of that price range, even using 10 cent or 15 cent offsets could make sense. Now, if you did that on a stock like SIF, most of the time you would just end up market ordering out on the bid. So an offset can help you in stocks that have big spreads, but in stocks that are with a very tight spread, then they're not really that helpful. So Eric, a question on my routing. Actually, I was using for a while BATS, and then what sometimes happens with these routes is you'll have a day where the route's not working properly, and usually if that ever happens, Lightspeed will send a little announcement up here at the top, and it'll say, please route away from ARCA. ARCA is having some, internal routing issues. And knock on wood, I actually haven't seen routing issues in a while, but they happen from time to time. Unfortunately, when that happens on that day, when I get that error or that message, I got to go in here real quick and go and change all my hotkeys. So I got to change my hotkey, and just, it's copy paste, but I still have to, change it to ARCA. All right, then I got to go change the next one, the next one, the next one. And I save my layout and I don't change it back. I don't really care. I really don't care about ARCA, BATS, EDGX, or NASDAQ. I'm indifferent. They make no difference to me. They're all pretty much the same price. So I would use BATS for a while. I thought the executions were fast. I liked them. And then I switched to ARCA on a day that BATS was having an issue. Used ARCA for a while. ARCA was having an issue one day, switched to EdgeX, used Edge for a while. Edge was having an issue one day, switched to NASDAQ. And now I've been using NASDAQ for like, I don't know, maybe a year and a half. And I haven't, again, knock on wood, had any issues with it. So these hotkeys that say BATS are actually outdated and are using NASDAQ. It's just outdated from the time when I was using BATS to the day that BATS was having an issue and I had to route to NASDAQ. So yeah, so that was pretty easy. So Kevin, question here. We're also a member of the Warrior Pro team. I have a Lightspeed account, but have hit a point of confusion. So having to choose between the data tier and the platform. All right, so the brokerage is Lime. Lightspeed is I think it's a division of Lime. Rob can clarify that for sure. Now, the nice thing about the Lightspeed platform is that as long as you generate a certain number of commissions, I believe the cost of the platform is typically waived, but you still have to pay your market data fees. So your market data fees are what they are, maybe $40, $50, $60 a month, whatever it is. Those are your fees for level 2 market data. And Rob can certainly set you up with the same data feed that I have. It's a very common feed. And then you'd have the same one that I have. I think it's $55 a month. Anyways, you can also use the Sterling platform. Now, we work closely with Sterling, and Sterling has worked closely with Lightspeed. I might even on the About section. No, it doesn't say. I think this used to have something where it mentioned that it was had a copyright for Sterling. But in any case, Sterling has worked closely with Lightspeed, and so whether you use the Sterling platform or you use the Lightspeed platform is your choice. But the Lightspeed platform is going to be cheaper, and so for that reason, it's obviously what I used when I first started using Lightspeed. So it's what I'm the most familiar with. But you could also use a Sterling trading platform, and you can use it with your Lightspeed account. It's really your choice. So Mark says, integrating e-signal charts into Lightspeed. So unfortunately, they're not integrated. So every time I pull up a stock, usually what I do is someone mentions a stock. So I'll say, oh, you know, I got to pull up, you know, whatever, TLSA. All right, and so I pull it up here first because this chart's always going to load a little slower. My e-signal charts load slowly. So I type something here, and then while it's loading, I come over here and type it. This loads instantly. And obviously these charts load a lot faster as well. So Lightspeed is faster, both in the charts and obviously in the trading platform. But you know, I've been using this for a long time, and even though it's a little redundant to enter it twice, I just kind of keep doing it. So it's totally your choice. I mean, you can set this up with 1 minute, 5 minute charts, the same as I have it set up, and you can put these out on multiple monitors and everything else. Or if you use TC2000 or Lights or e-signal, you could use either of those, but you just have to remember that you now have to enter stuff twice. So it's really kind of whatever you're comfortable with. And yeah, Lightspeed does have a discounted commission rate for Warrior Pro students to help you guys subsidize your education. Any of you guys who are watching this who aren't already members at Warrior Trading or haven't signed up, you can go to warriortrading.com. If you go to warriortrading.com/day trading, you'll see a nice day trading guide that we've put together right here. So this is a guide with a bunch of different, a whole bunch of different pages about different things that you may have questions on. And then you can always register to a free class that I teach right here. All right, so those of you guys that want to learn more, I encourage you to do that. So anyways, back to the hotkeys. So the way I have mine set up here, I have hotkeys to sell at the ask. But remember, if you sell at the ask price, you have to wait for someone to come and buy your shares. So sometimes you have to sit and wait for seconds, sometimes minutes, sometimes could even be, you know, hours. Whereas if you sell at the bid price, you will get filled instantly. At the bid, there's always a buyer. So if you want instant execution, you would typically buy at the ask and sell at the bid. If you want the best price, you would buy at the bid and sell at the ask. I buy at the ask because when I want to buy something, it's a breakout, a stock is moving fast, I don't have time to wait. So I always buy at the ask. But I also try to sell at the ask to get the best price. But if I don't fill my order, usually within a couple of seconds, 10 seconds, 15, then I'll cancel it. And I can either place a new order on the ask if the stock is coming down. I could place an offset order on the ask. I could manually put an order, in between the spread. Or I could just hit the bid and sell, right here. Now in the example of this stock, we've got an 18-cent spread. So with a bigger spread, I'd be more inclined to try to get out, closer to the ask. And so I have the hotkeys here, both for selling at the bid, and that's going to be actually 5 cents below the bid. So it gives me a little bit of offset for slippage. And I have the hotkeys for selling at the ask, and I have the offset hotkey for selling just under the ask. So those are the primary hotkeys I use. I also have the inverted for covering short positions, although, as you guys know, I'm not as aggressive on the short side. So those are the hotkeys that I'm primarily using. I also have a hotkey to set a stop at break even. So this is Control S. So Control S sets a stop order. It's a sell stop at my position cost basis for the full position. I could make it a hidden order, probably should. And anyways, I map that to the hotkey of Control B, stop at break even. So that keeps my stop at break even. And I've had Control S, which I don't think is set up right now, but this is a stop 15 cents below the current bid. So if I press Control S, regardless of where I went or where I place it, it's always going to be 15 cents below the current bid. So I can see, of course, the bid right here is 90, so my order would be at 75, right? So that's a stop order that's constantly moving up. Usually I would make everything hidden. I just sometimes have, I don't know, I've really just forgotten to do it. It's just as easy as tabbing there and then saving it. But, sometimes I forget. And I don't use hotkeys I don't use stops that frequently. So for that reason, it's not something that I really probably would have noticed. All right, so those are our hotkeys. Let's see, let me pull up another good live trading example and kind of show you. So this one is CAPR. So what's going on this one? All right, so we've got CAPR here. This stock has 19 million shares of volume. And what we're looking at on this is a possible red to green move. All right, so the stock right now is squeezing up. It's about 9.49. You can see I've taken some trades on CAPR. It's the only stock I've traded so far on this particular day. We've got neon right there, but let's move forward to the first trade. Oops, looks like, all right, so this was a little trade that I took. Looks like this was a breakout trade. So right there, we can see we've got that big seller. So look at that, that's a perfect example. So right here as we're coming up, there's let's back this up, sorry. There's a big seller right here at $5. So of course, sometimes traders I suppose as a beginner trader, get so caught up in looking at the charts that they're missing some of the things that are happening here. So what we have right here is 27,000 share seller on NASDAQ and another 15,000 on ARCA. What I want to see is this is getting bought up. It's going 27, 21, 18, 17, 16, 13. Now someone just put a hidden order. It wasn't even hidden. They put a sell order at 99. So it dips for a second, right? You saw how it just dipped for a moment. Let's watch it again. It's coming back up to 5. 5. I've got my hand on the buy button. I'm ready to click that buy button. I'm just looking for it to break. All right, so we've got 27, 17, 16, 13. I just added, I got long at 99. And just like that, it breaks through, boom. What do I want to do on a breakout? This is instant resolution. This in a matter of how many seconds? 9 seconds. I'm up 150 bucks. Now, you're not going to make 150 bucks every 9 seconds during the whole market day. It's about sitting and waiting for these apex points that you see and understand. And in this case, with 20 million shares of volume, I knew when we broke that $5 spot that we would pop. So just like that, I'm going to put my order out probably to sell half. So let's watch. So I put my order out right there to sell at 18. Now this is moving very fast. I'm not sure if I was using offset there, but anyways, orders at 18 to sell 1,000 shares, and the order gets, okay, so the order only picked up 200 shares. And so what I ended up doing in this case was canceling that order and then selling the rest at the bid, which is kind of a bummer because in this case, it looks like my order went through at 506. So I ended up only making like 60 bucks. But you can see how this was a really quick trade. So nice little breakout there. So let's come up to the next one. So this one is coming back up. So in this case, I got back in at 17. I sold half on that break. This is a stock that's very thickly traded. It's easy to get in and out of. I want to try to zoom into maybe a good dip trade on this. So this just popped up to a high of almost 50, almost a $0.50 of 550. Kind of came up to a little bit of a double top there. So Jonathan, if you get a partial fill, in my opinion, I always want to be quick to cancel the order so it doesn't fill if the stock comes back down. Because yeah, that can happen if you don't cancel the order. So I actually have a hotkey here. So I'll just show you this hotkey. So we'll go into the keyboard. And this one, you don't actually have to do a custom order for. So this is cancel order keys. And I actually have two of them. I have Control Q for cancel all stock. And actually on this layout, I only have that one. But I also had cancel all. And I scripted this to the escape button, I believe. I could be mistaken, but I was pretty positive I had that. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. So in any case, having those at, quick is important. All right, and Rob can help you. I'm sure he's happy to help you review settings and things like that. So 35, 38. So I've got my order at 48 right now. You can see how this is a bit of a double top pattern, but if it breaks through that high, then room back technically to 7. So in that case, I got in at 39. Okay, so look at that, big seller, 85,000 shares at 48 and another 22,000 at 47. We've got a big seller kind of lining up here. So I'm probably not going to try to hold, I'm just going to sell. Yep, so I'm out of it at 44, 50 bucks of profit. You do that 5 times a day, you're making 500 on your winners, you have a couple losses, you could still have a decent day, just with a lot of small trades. So I generally find trading with smaller share size makes it easier to get in and out quickly. So we're going to watch this here. So this is a breakout trade right there. And let's look at that. So watch right here as this comes up. I'm on this window now. Okay, so we want to see it break that level. Is it going to break? I'm long, I bought, and I'm looking for an immediate break. And what happens when we get the immediate break? Just like that. Just like that. That's $400 plus. And that was on a bigger position. Orders out to take profit, and I'm out of it. So in at 47.48, out at 63. Okay, so you can see here, I added as that first seller started to get taken down, and then I added again. A little risky, probably, but this was a nice 1-minute pullback, so I went ahead and took it, and I felt confident. 13,000 on the ask. There we go. It's getting bought up. It's going to break, and just like that. So why would something break that fiercely, that aggressively? It could be people that are short that have a stop at 51. A stop right over a psychological level, stop executes, market order, it's a buy order, it pops up. Could be people that use buy stop orders. It could be a lot of different things, but we see it a lot around whole dollars and half dollars. And that's a nice pop all the way to 69. So really can't complain about that at all. That's a nice trade. And this stock ends up making a pretty impressive move, having a few sort of dramatic dips. Several of them I ended up buying. So I did dip entries on it and then selling on the rip through the high. Looks like this is going to be another breakout trade through the high. And this is a pullback down to the VWAP, so I can just look at this for a second. So this one is coming down right off the volume weighted average price. And oh, looks like I actually just did. So I did dip trade on this. It did a quick flush right here, and I'm going to take the bounce off the VWAP. So watch this. I'm long right there, and I'm adding. It's holding this level, and I'm looking for it to pop back up to 515. Usually 512, 515 is a good bounce off the low. So there's 512, then I'm out. Nice quick profit there. See if we get another. This looks like a breakout trade. So, you know, this is what I'm doing pretty much all day long. I'm taking trades like this. I'm buying pullbacks, selling into breakouts. Nice bid stack right here at 33. When I see something like that, that tells me that there's something going on. You know, someone's putting out some orders to buy. So that starts to give me some confidence that we'll have a move higher. So this ends up forming an ABCD pattern. This is a pattern that I talk about and that we trade extensively in the classes. We teach it, I trade it. So what we're going to get here, we're going to look for the break over 550. That's going to be the breakout point. So I'll fast forward this just for the sake of time. So there's 550, there's 560. We're looking for this up to 6. There's 6, there's 603, right? It's pretty awesome. When you learn to anticipate these types of patterns, you can do really well. We're hanging out at 6, there's 650, and I just keep trading it as it goes up, buying pullbacks. There's 7. Look at that. It's pretty cool. All right, so a little pullback here on that trade, a nice pop up to 7, a little higher, 750, and then a little pullback. So I think this is giving you a little bit of a sense of how I trade. I'm a pretty fast trader. I trade momentum. I only trade the stocks that are moving quickly each day. I did that today, and I locked up 25,000 bucks. SIF is up 77% right now. FWP is actually down. This one, I'm not sure what ended up happening with it towards the end of the day. Looks like it pulled back a little bit. Let's see, we were trading it earlier in the morning. It squeezed from 7 up to about, gosh, look at this, $13. Some crazy volatility. This is some crazy stuff, but right here, this was where it was all over, right there where it broke on that candle. So that was the end of it. This one could have just as easily broken to the upside over 12, 12.50, and we would have been looking at this for a move up towards 15. But, you know, it's important to know when to take profit and when to step back. So to answer your question on the 10-second charts, I like looking at them when I'm doing recaps with students because it helps me show you the things that I was seeing on a micro time frame. It basically helps me show you what I saw on the level 2 because level 2 happens really, really fast. Happens faster than 1-minute charts. So on this, for instance, this breakout right here, this pop, this micro pullback right here at 20, those are things that you don't see when you're looking at a 1-minute chart. But when you see them on a short time frame, you realize, okay, those did pull back, and then you recognize when you see on the level 2 how it popped up and pulled back, and as it curled back up, that's when it ripped through the highs. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this little class walkthrough of how I use the Lightspeed platform. I probably don't use it in a way that's a lot different from many other traders who are profitable and successful. It's a platform that you can trade on aggressively, you can hammer it, you can trade with big size, you can get in, you can get out, and I love it. And I hope that you guys who are using it enjoy it too. Hopefully you get the most out of it. And if you want to learn more about my strategy, come over to warriortrading.com, check out the /day trading page right here, and you can learn a little bit more about my strategy, register one of my classes, and that's probably the best place to do some Q&A. So I'm running right to 5:30 here. So I think what I'll do is I'll let you guys go, but I'll encourage you to check out that page and follow me over on YouTube as well if you'd like. And tomorrow morning, 9:15, I'll be live streaming on YouTube, my watch list. So feel free to tune in, and hopefully we have some good stocks pre-market that are already showing some potential to have some breaking news, and that's where I'll be jumping in. The last question here, how to make the font bigger. So I just went in here to style and changed it. You could change it here as much as you want. So yep, I like to see those headlines. All right, you guys, so I'll pass it back to Rob, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you over Warrior Trading chat room or YouTube channel for more Q&A.
Thanks, Ross. We really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time. I hope everyone really was able to gain some insight on the strategy, how he uses software, and how the software can be used for capturing some of that momentum very quickly with the custom orders and hotkeys. If anyone has questions about some hotkey setups and custom orders, certainly feel free to email us, service@linebrokerage.com if you're looking to open up a new account or test out a demo, sales@lightspeed.com, or my email directly, rlipson@linebrokerage.com. Be happy to help. Thank you guys very much. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy, and please just let us know how we can help. So everyone take care. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us. Take care.